A blessed good day to you. My message today is entitled The Mystery of Israel's Blindness. My scripture reference is taken from Romans 11, verses 25 to 26. The history of Israel, past, present, and future, is given in the book of Romans, chapter 9 to 11. In chapter 9, Paul explains Israel's past election in relation to God's sovereignty. In chapter 10, he explains Israel's present rejection in relation to God's righteousness. And in chapter 11, Israel's future restoration as a nation. Notice first Israel's past election. In Romans chapter 9, Paul discusses Israel's past election and the privileges God has given them as his treasure. They include 1. Israel's adoption, 2. The glory on Mount Sinai and the Holy of Holies, 3. The covenants, which include those with Abraham, Moses, and David, 4. The law, which was given to Israel at Mount Sinai, 5. The service of the tabernacle and priesthood, 6. The promises to Israel concerning the coming kingdom, 7. The fathers of the nation of Israel, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and 8. Christ, the Son of God, Israel, Messiah, and Redeemer. Yet Israel failed to appreciate her privileges and stumbled at that stumbling stone, which was Christ. Read 1 Peter 2:8. God's past election of Israel is based upon his sovereignty, and whether we agree with his decision or not, God has chosen the nation of Israel to be his peculiar treasure. Exodus 19 verse 5. Yet Israel has rejected God's righteousness and stumbled in unbelief. Israel was to be a light to the other nations, but ultimately failed to realize God's plan and purposes. Secondly, Israel's present rejection. In Romans chapter 10, Paul explains Israel's present setting aside in unbelief due to their going about to establish their own righteousness. Romans 10:3. They failed to realize that Christ is the end of the law for righteousness. Romans 10:4. Many professing Christians today are like Israel in that they have a religion but no relationship. They are trying to establish their salvation on a work basis. Many are just as zealous and just as blind as Israel in relation to the righteousness which is of faith. Romans 10:6. Thirdly, Israel's future restoration. In Romans chapter 11, Paul relates Israel's future restoration as a nation. Paul asks the question, has God cast away his people? And answer it with a definitive God forbid. Romans 11:1. The present suspension of Israel is only temporary. Paul states that God has not cast away his people which he foreknew. Romans 11:2. The treasure is now hidden, but will be brought to light when God's plans and purposes for his church are completed. Though Israel is at enmity with the gospel today, they are still God's peculiar treasure, and concerning their election, they are beloved for the Father's sake. Romans 11:28. The mystery of Israel's blindness. Romans 11:25 emphasizes God's plan and purposes in the restoration of Israel, when at the last the Lord will possess his earthly treasure. Read Amos 9:14.